So let's talk about the Green Fairy. The Green Fairy is another term for that wonderful age-old drink called absinthe. The myth involving absinthe is you drink it, you get hallucinogenic properties from it, from the wormwood that's inside of it, and you see this Green Fairy. All of these things, pretty made up BS, honestly, but absinthe does have a lot of history, and until recently it's been very steeped in mystery. It was banned in a lot of countries, they brought it back. The French traditionally make probably the world's best absinthe. They have a happy hour of sorts dedicated to imbibing absinthe and enjoying time with friends and having food, celebrating life. That, of course, was called L'Heure Verte. I'm Brandon. This, of course, is DaVinci's Alchemyst, your blue-collar guide for drinking well and stinking pretty. Within absinthe, there is a kind of a licorice, anise sort of note, flavor, profile, that sort of thing. And recently, the fragrance house By Kilian produced a fragrance called L'Heure Verte in honor of that French happy hour. There are definitely a lot of similarities with absinthe and L'Heure Verte, so we will be talking about what I get from this fragrance, and we're also going to be talking a little bit about Pernod, which is a French absinthe. Now, this is supposedly original recipe that has been around from, I want to say 1805 supposedly. So we'll talk about this a little bit. We'll definitely talk a lot about this. Originally, I did a video for L'Heure Verte. It was more of a Halloween special artistic version. Pop it, check it. It's right over there. This is obviously more of my unabridged, full review version of L'Heure Verte from By Kilian. Let's just move along and get right into what I experience with L'Heure Verte. L'Heure Verte for me has pretty much two phases within the life of the fragrance. I will say right away, get this out of the way, that for me this lasts quite a bit of time. This has a great deal of lasting power, and it's very pleasant throughout the entire life of the fragrance. I never really thought that I was going to go for a licorice style fragrance. I can't stand the taste of black licorice. So I was very, very surprised after I got the sample when this first came out by how much I actually really enjoyed it. It's very, very unique to me. So with those two phases that I get, we'll talk about the secondary phase, the more dry down portion of this fragrance. For me, that secondary phase, the woods come through. Sandalwood is not a very strong player in this fragrance, but I can get it there in the background. Basically, like it creates a little bit of texture. It gives it a little bit of softness, but there's woodiness involved. And what I get mostly as far as fragrance, pardon the crinkles, that secondary phase in this fragrance is this herb, dried wormwood. It's very green. It's woody, stemmy, and for me, the second phase of L'Heure Verte has that nice greenness to it. Sandalwood kind of takes away the sharp edges of the greenness. A nice, smooth, woody texture. The patchouli is a little bit stronger in that second phase, but it blends really well with this kind of licorice, herbal, green, almost vetiver-y sort of vibe, but the licorice, like I said, still stays. The absinthe-esque feeling still stays throughout that secondary phase. Beautiful dry down, beautiful secondary phase. So one of my favorite parts of this is the first phase. So the first phase of this fragrance, the first part of the life of this fragrance is it's indicative of absinthe in a very specific way. To me, it is indicative in the way that the absinthe is traditionally served, which I will do for you now. Traditionally, absinthe is served, you get a glass. Now, mind you, this glass is not necessarily what absinthe is normally served in. I usually see it served in like a fluted glass but I like how this one goes really well with the bottle for L'Heure Verte. So you typically just have your couple of ounces, ounce and a half. This stuff is really, really strong. It's higher proof. Beautiful color though, you gotta admit that. This is high proof. This is 68% alcohol as opposed to like your standard whiskey, which is anywhere from 80 proof to 92 proof. So it's got a little bit more chutzpah to it. L'Heure Verte, what I really do enjoy about that beginning is that there is some wonderful aromatic notes that kind of kick out, and there is a sweetness, but it's not cloying. It literally, for me, it gives that impression of sugar. So part of the way that they do absinthe is you put a sugar cube on this specific spoon, and then because of those aromatic notes and because of the way that I have been served absinthe in the traditional fashion, you put a couple of drops of aromatic bitters right on the top of that sugar cube, and then next part comes the very, very most important part in making this beverage. Now you can't just aromatic bitters some sugar and dump it into a glass of high test 68% alcohol. They dilute it with water. Now they always typically use a slow drip water fountain type thing. I don't have one of those. I have this. So we'll kind of try to mimic that just by dropping a little bit at a time directly over the sugar cube. Now what you want to do is melt that sugar cube. And what happens, like, there's not really a certain amount of water that you need to put in. It's not like a measured in volume amount. What you're looking for is you're looking for the liquid in the glass, the absinthe, to reach what you call a louche. And as you can see, it's starting to get cloudy. That's what we're looking for. That is the louche. That's when you know you have enough liquid, enough water over into the glass, because it creates that hazy green sort of vibe. And then of course, you know, you can just take the rest of that sugar, get it into the glass, give it a good mix, and now you can really see that interesting kind of milky white green color. So now we have a sip. That is perfectly what I get from L'Heure Verte. A little bit of sweetness. The anise, licorice, absinthe vibe is very strong in the opening, and it stays with the fragrance. But the combination of those things, the way that the sugar tempers and the aromatic bitters hit, this was kind of a spot-on home run for paying homage to the green hour. So as a summary, once again, the opening of this fragrance, just like drinking a glass of traditionally served absinthe, licorice, aromatic, a little bit of sweetness, dries down into a nice woody texture, a little bit of creaminess from sandalwood, nice herbal appeal, and in all honesty, just very pleasant and unique throughout the entirety. If you're looking for a nice, unique green fragrance that I feel like kind of elevates your style, gives you a little bit of class, doesn't really smell too boozy, in honesty, grab yourself a sample. You can get samples from Lucky Scent. You can also get samples from myfragrancesamples.com. Try it out, because I did not think that I was going to like a licorice-based fragrance, and I do really love L'Heure Verte. Again, if you're looking for something unique, I cannot stress that L'Heure Verte, though very mellow, very classy, not loud, it is definitely 100% a very interesting fragrance. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Hope that you enjoyed the review. Hope everyone is healthy and happy. I hope that you're taking care of yourselves and each other. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going, no matter what you're sipping, no matter what you're spraying, don't forget to keep calm, stink pretty, drink well, and I'll see you on the next one.